Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
The Detroit Zoo is excited about something new, and it's not an animal, but it will affect every one of them that lives there.
Also, chilling word sent to a former college classmate land this Macomb County man in handcuffs.
A heartbreaking discovery inside a trash bin provides new evidence of Detroit's animal abuse epidemic. For so many animal lovers, it's difficult to imagine the cruelty it would take to leave an injured dog to die inside a trash bin.
That's what the people at the Detroit Dog Rescue discovered, though, and they tell our Sean Lay it is just one example of the abuse and neglect they see every day.
Good evening. The founder of Detroit Dog Rescue says what she discovered yesterday absolutely shook her to her core. She says this one case is an example of the kind of abuse they're seeing citywide.
And the real sad part about this is based on the blood that was on this dog and some of the claw marks we saw in that trash can, it looked like that dog was most likely alive when they dumped it into this trash can.
You would think the people with Detroit Dog Rescue have seen it all. What DDR founder Christina Rinaldi found on Detroit's East Side Wednesday, she says, shook her to her very core. We can't show you the graphic photos, but DDR got a call about a pup in a trash can. The dog didn't survive, but it was clear that the dog was injured, dumped in that container, and was scratching to get out. Dustin Benuni is with Detroit Dog Rescue.
That when Christina gets shook to her core, we all get shook to our core, because you're absolutely right about that. She's seen everything.
DDR says this one pup is a sad example of a larger problem of animal abuse area-wide, and how local leaders and groups must come together to let humans know that this is not okay. There are resources out there to help.
We need to get community leaders to start encouraging people that that's not acceptable, and if you see something, you need to say something. Report it to us, report it to animal control, so we can get out there and give information to those who don't know that you can bring your dog to us, to animal control if you need help, and we can start prosecuting people who are abusing these dogs. There is, unfortunately, people out there who they just don't care. They see these dogs as property. They're things to be tied up, used, and when you don't want it anymore, it's like a broken toy, and you throw it out in the trash can, literally.
Yeah, it's an important point we can make. Again, Detroit Dog Rescue strongly tonight saying, look, you don't have to throw an animal in a trash can when it's suffering like that. Totally unacceptable. There are resources to call, and they're also coming out and saying, look, the community, neighborhoods, community leaders, churches, city leaders need to get together to say this animal abuse, any type of animal abuse, I should say, there needs to be zero tolerance for it. Back to you guys.
It's just astonishing, Sean. Do they have any idea who might have been responsible for putting the dog there in the first place?
They don't. They're also making the call to say, look, if people know who did this, they want to get in touch with that person. They're also saying they need people in the communities to speak up when they see animal abuse. They're also saying they need more prosecutions when it comes to animal abuse.
All right, Sean.
The Detroit dog owner arrested after his dogs killed 9-year-old Emma Hernandez has been charged today in her murder. Pierre Cleveland appeared via video link, and throughout his hearing, he kept his head down, appearing distraught with what had happened. He's charged with second-degree murder. Prosecutors allege Cleveland's dogs had a violent past.
The defendant knew that a week prior to his dogs killing Emma Hernandez, one of his dogs killed a puppy in his home, that the dogs fought with each other in his home, that one of the dogs killed multiple puppies on July 29th of 2019, just 2 weeks before this incident.
The judge gave Cleveland $2 million bond. He's scheduled to be back in court in 2 weeks.
He allegedly said he was going to shoot 200 police officers. Now he's charged with a 20-year felony. St. Clair Shores police arrested 30-year-old Corey Frazier after he allegedly texted and called a former Wayne State classmate and told her he wanted to kill police in Warren, Roseville, and at Wayne State. Frazier also allegedly said the recent Philadelphia shooting of police officers made him mad because only 6 officers were wounded. Frazier is charged with making a false threat of terrorism. A Detroit police officer is accused of taking bribes from a drug dealer.
Michael Mosley, a 19-year veteran of the force, is facing federal bribery charges tonight. Investigators say he took $15,000 from a drug dealer, then agreed to not pursue charges and remove the suspect's signed confession from police paperwork.
I'm disgusted, as I always is, when someone stains the badge, but I'm hopeful that as we continue a very surgical look at the issues, that it's not beyond Mosley.
Mosley's been on unpaid leave now for about a month. He worked in the Major Violators Unit, a unit already under investigation by the feds. And today, Chief Craig said several high-ranking supervisors had been reassigned after the department gave that unit another look.
A 59-year-old woman was killed in an explosion at her longtime home. It happened in Southgate this morning in a neighborhood near Fort Street in Eureka. Neighbors say they heard a loud boom that blew out windows, and then they saw the big hole in the back of the house. They described the victim as wonderful and humble. She's not been identified yet. Investigators tell us there were oxygen tanks in the home, but they have not said if that played a role in the explosion.
The Great Lakes are certainly a point of pride for Michiganders. In Washington, maybe not so much. The Trump administration's looked at cutting spending on lakes preservation in its budget proposals. But as Rod Maloney tells us, Michigan U.S. senators have teamed up to move the Great Lakes to the front burner when it comes to government funding.
Well, there certainly is no shortage of water in the Great Lakes. This year you can see the waves lapping up onto the grass 20 feet from where the beach used to be. And yet it's still gorgeous out here. The boaters out on a beautiful sunshiny August day. But the question is there enough money in the federal coffers to make sure it stays this way? Kathy Kadrovich of Saline brought her children to Belle Isle today for the first time with a friend. She enjoyed the view, Detroit's skyline looking absolutely picturesque, the blue-green river busy and beautiful. Still, it's the big water that has her attention.
This is nice. Lake Michigan is my home.
So logically, Great Lakes preservation is top of mind.
We need to protect and preserve this. We have the carp that's coming in. We need to protect against that. We have obviously the pollution.
Which is where U.S. Senators Gary Peters and Debbie Stabenow step in. They've been leading the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, a fresh new bill that would raise Great Lakes funding for ecological study, repair, and for tourism promotion from $300 million to $450 million.
There are so many new challenges and continued challenges that in order to stay on top of it, we need the additional resources.
Belle Isle's Lake Okanoka is one of the past recipients of funds, and the expectation is more money would come here and into Metro Detroit should this bill pass.
It's a sacred trust that we have to protect for generations to come.
This is absolutely critical and vital to human survival for us to keep this clean.
The next concern is what they call a 5-year continuing resolution to keep the money going into the future. And that's a bill that's going to come up for a vote perhaps as early as this fall. On Belle Isle, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
All right, Rod. Now, of course, they're both Democrats, but the senators say they have bipartisan support for the bill right now. Among the specifics, initiatives to clean up Great Lakes beaches and to fight invasive species.
Well, we get lots of adorable pictures from the Detroit Zoo whenever they have a new animal for people to come see.
Of course, and today, a little different. Not a new attraction, but rather a new partnership. Coco McAvoy reports, all in pursuit of an important goal.
People come to the zoo to enjoy the outdoors and also see all of the beautiful animals. And that's a part of the zoo's mission. But the zoo's been taking on another initiative behind the scenes, and that's to promote renewable energy. It's a beautiful day to take in the sights and sounds at the Detroit Zoo, and that's exactly what the Kemp family is doing.
I like seeing all the animals and like what they do during like the day and stuff, and like all the penguins swimming and stuff. Yeah, I like that too.
And for Mom?
I enjoy being outside, just taking in the beauty of the trees and the flowers and the animals.
But behind the scenes, the zoo is taking a major step towards a 100% renewable energy goal.
We are not aware of any other zoos currently being powered by all sustainable power, but this is a mission of all accredited zoos, so eventually they'll be paying attention to what we're doing here.
The zoo already uses food waste and animal waste as power sources.
Partnering together to provide them with 100% renewable energy power. We will be building wind farms in mid-Michigan.
The goal is to reduce the zoo's carbon footprint, something plenty of zoo goers are on board with.
Animals are producing this all the time. It's completely renewable.
The Detroit Zoo is hoping to continue to lead the way in finding renewable energy sources to help the environment.
As a parent, and hoping that my children grow up in an environment that's healthy and clean certainly is comforting as a mom.
I'm Coco McAvoy, Local 4.
Stuff. Any day with penguins makes it a better day.
They're
right?
the best exhibit there, the penguins.
If you're able to donate blood, tonight the Red Cross is urging you to do exactly that.
That's right. There are blood drives happening right now at Gardner White stores across Metro Detroit to ease the emergency blood shortage. The Red Cross says there's less than a 3-day supply of most blood types and less than a 2-day supply of O negative, which is needed in emergency situations. So you can donate blood until 7:45 tonight at the Gardner White stores in Auburn Hills, Macomb Township, Canton, Novi, Taylor, Warren, and Waterford, and until 7:15 at the Brighton store.